Cade Cunningham in the national media. They're not. It's okay. A lot of people are not going to talk about Cade Cunningham in the national media because at the end of the day, the Detroit Pistons are not like this, franchise that's going to be featured on podcasts that are not Detroit Pistons centric. They're not going to be featured on national television enough to get the kind of love that they should. And Cade Cunningham, he's been great. He's been great this year. Is he struggling to shoot this year? It's been a little rough, I will admit. He has struggled from an efficiency standpoint. But as a playmaker, Cade Cunningham is doing something really special right now. He is tied with LaMelo Ball for most assists per game this season. Um, with 9.8. He is second in drive points per game with 12.3 behind Shai Alexander, who is averaging 15.5. Mind you, he's averaging more drive points per game than Jalen Brunson. And he's tied for the third most drives per game with Trae Young with 17.1. Jalen Brunson has 17.8 drives per game. Shai Alexander's at number one at 20.6. And Cade Cunningham is averaging 16.4 potential assists per game. That's behind only Devin Booker and Nikola Jokic. I mean, from a playmaking perspective, his ability to create for others and get to the rim, I mean, it's been special what he's been able to do as someone getting to the basket. And the part that sucks so much for him is he could actually be so much more lethal. If the efficiency from beyond the arc was ticked up a little bit more, because his on-ball usage is kind of insane this year, especially with like the whole Jaden Ivey thing kicking off the year. And the fact that they really do not have a secondary ball handler next to Cade Cunningham, like I would not be surprised if Cade Cunningham is somewhere up there in usage percentage. And maybe I can find this while we're talking about it. But like this is a guy who with no real secondary ball handler right now, and you lose your knockdown 3-point shooters from last season. Two of the best 3-point shooters in the league last season were Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. And Malik Beasley may not play basketball this year, given his circumstances. And Tim Hardaway Jr. is on the Denver Nuggets now. So, and yeah, actually Cade Cunningham he's top 20 in usage percentage, just over guys like Tyrese Maxey, Josh Giddey, and Paolo Banchero. Like he's in that conversation where 28.6 puts him just behind guys like Jamal Murray, Pascal Siakam, Lauri Markkanen, LaMelo Ball, and Austin Reeves. Even Wemby is at 30.7. So Cade Cunningham is like right there where he's like a percent or two away from cracking that top 10. Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell both are at 30.8 as well, right? So Cade Cunningham is literally like 2% away usage-wise from being the top 10. I'm sure you could say that about a handful of people, right? But like still, he's the only Piston in the top 25. There's a handful of duos in the top 25 as far as usage is concerned, because you have guys like Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, who are both 23 and 24. Stephon Castle is at 25 while Wemby is at 12. Let me see. Luka surprisingly is not in the top 25. That may have to do with his minutes, because he did miss a game or two. But Austin Reeves is obviously in that list. So there's a handful, or at least there's a few, I should say, high usage guys already that are tandem in the top 25. And I'm sure if I went to the top like 30 or 35, there would be a few more. Um, he's been big time. Cade Cunningham has been big time. And I don't know how much it's going to mean in the grand scheme of this season for the Detroit Pistons. I actually think this is a year where like Cade is going to become a little bit more of a complete basketball player than he was even last year, where he made the All-Star team and made third team All-NBA. I think he's going to somehow become an even more complete basketball player this year, but it's going to come at the expense of this team not being nearly as good as they were last season, because like health wise and just talent wise, they did take a major blow this offseason. No one's going to talk about him that much until we start maybe having all-star conversations. But Cade Cunningham, I just want to give him his flowers right now because I think that he deserves them. The national media is not going to talk about him a ton. He's been really good. I think that efficiency is going to come along. I think the fact that his three-point rating is so low has more to do with the fact that he just commands so much attention. But I also love that he's leaning into his bread and butter. If he's going to shoot less than 30% from beyond the arc, well, dang it, I'm just gonna lead the team. I'm just gonna lead the league in getting to the basket. I'm just gonna be one of the best players in the NBA at getting paint touches and finishing around the rim. Because if I can't shoot the three ball at a high clip, if I'm getting so much pressure, the minute I touch the top of the key, I gotta be able to force this action in one way or another. And the best way to go about doing that is by making it where people have to respect your ability to get to the basket. Because now you're going to force them to have to sag off and really respect the fact that you're so effective as a driver, as a finisher, that now they sag off, and now that three-point shot becomes a little bit easier to hit. And maybe that uptick allows him to get to that league average 35, 36% shooting clip. And you add that to how effective he's been as a passer, triple threat. Triple threat. If as a passer he's going to average nearly 10 assists per game, you have to be afraid of what he can do from a facilitation perspective. If he's a league average three-point shooter, that means you have to at least respect him because he's bringing the ball up the floor every single time. And if he can be a league average three-point shooter, he has the threat of being that kind of knockdown guy the minute he touches past half court. And then you pair that with the fact that he's so dangerous as a driver. Now you have to respect him, where you have to have your big man play up a little bit because you don't want him just sitting underneath the basket when you got someone at 6'8" built like Cade Cunningham bulldozing his way down the middle of the lane. Cade Cunningham, bro. When we have conversations about like the next gen of best player in the world conversations, Cade Cunningham's name doesn't come up enough, and understandably so, because of guys like Shea and Anthony Edwards and Victor Wembanyama being so dang good. But Cade's in there, bro. Cade's in the convo. He might not be at the top of the discussion when we start talking about best player in the league 5 years from now, but he's in the discussion. I think he's firmly in the top 10. I think 5 years from now, we're going to be talking about Cade Cunningham firmly in the top 10 of best players in the NBA at that time. I really do believe that that's going to be the case. I think Cade Cunningham is going to be a really, really special player. And coming off of last All-Star season, the proof is in the pudding. He just needs competent play around him and real three-point shooting potential around him, and he can win with anybody. He proved it at Oklahoma State, where they had no spacing and they still were a really good team in the Big 12. And in the league, he hasn't had competent floor spacing. And then last year, he gets real good three-point shooting. Jaden Ivey starts off the year hot. Ron Holland's good as a rookie to not necessarily to start, but he developed into a really good rookie over time. Ausar Thompson has been really, really good as a defender and as like a slasher for them at the wing spot. they just they just genuinely need competent 3-point shooting around Cade Cunningham, and like he's going to be able to lead this team to a postseason berth. I really do believe that. I really do believe that this team can make the playoffs this year again. Um, and I really do believe that this is a team that like could be like kind of dangerous in a first round matchup with Cade being this good. Again, it's gonna matter a lot what they're able to put around him from a shooting perspective, because that's the biggest difference maker from last season to this season is you had two guys who were shooting 37+% and around 40+% in the catch and shoot area. You don't really have that right now. You have Simone. I mean, you have you have Duncan Robinson, who you acquired in that Simone Fantacchio trade, but that's kind of it. And Simone Fantacchio also is really good for the Miami Heat right now. I think the Pistons are going to regret trading him. Only time will tell. Right now, time is saying that Simone Fantacchio would be a really big help for the Detroit Pistons. But I digress. Let me know in the comment section down below how you guys feel about Cade Cunningham. Again, I think he's going to be a guy that doesn't get a ton of national recognition in the beginning of the season, but a guy who I think deserves to get some real bump, real conversation, because he's really been good so far this season. I think it's being discussed that he's been so good as a playmaker, both for himself and those around him, and he doesn't even have like legitimate 3-point shooting around him. Which means if he had guys who were high-level 3-point shooters around him on top of what he's been doing this season, he would be like even more dangerous as a playmaker, because he would have that backdrop of like a handful of knockdown players who could make it even easier in the half court, make it even easier in transition. But I digress. This has been another edition of the Routine Jumper